Welcome to Soul Inspirit, where spirituality meets real life. I'm Summer Paradiso, a psychic medium, intuitive guide, yoga teacher, and artist here to help you reconnect with your highest self. Here, we dive into the practices that strengthen your connection to intuition, higher self, spirit, and source. We'll explore my signature Soul Inspirit method, a fusion of movement, meditation, and creative expression designed to help you release emotional blocks and reclaim your power. Because to move through life with alignment and ease, we must first embrace vulnerability. Whether you're just spiritually curious or fully immersed in the ocean of woo-woo, this is your space to explore grounded spirituality. Expect soulful convos, real-life stories, creative tangents, and grounded practices to support your transformation. So take a deep breath, grab your coffee, tea, or whatever keeps you sane, and let's explore how to bring more magic, meaning, and soul alignment into your everyday life. Let's do this. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to today's episode of Soul Inspirit. Today, I am joined by a good friend, Jenn Koch, and she is the Style Dominatrix. And I am so excited for you guys to listen to this interview. I want to tell you a little bit about her. Jenn is the founder of Stylegasm and known for her alter ego, the Style Dominatrix. A world traveler known for her expressive looks, her work merges style, spirituality, and play as a catalyst for transformation, in particular by unleashing your fully styled alter ego. Recently, she published her book, Radiant, So Why Are You Still Single? I will say, I read this book, even though I'm not single, and it had so many golden nuggets in it. And I talk about it in the interview today with Jenn. I'm really excited for you guys to get to know her because when I first met her, I'm not going to lie, I was a little intimidated. She had on these fierce boots and her signature red hat and like some amazing dress because she always has the most stunning outfits and just expresses herself unapologetically. And what I really love about Jenn is that she is inspiring women to really embrace the connection with themselves and expressing it outwardly to feel that full connection, to feel their true authenticity. And she does this through her client work as well as through her book and being very vulnerable on social media and when she shares some of her stories. So without further ado, here is the interview. Hello, beautiful soul, and welcome to today's episode of Soul Inspirit. I have the lovely Jenn, the Style Dominatrix, with me today, and she's got her whip. So anyone on video can see she's got her whip with us today. I am really excited to interview you because we go way back now. We've been to South Africa together. We have gotten to watch each other online growing over the past year and some change. And I'm very excited to have a conversation with you today, Jenn. So will you introduce yourself for the people?
Yes, so grateful to be here and so much for us to chat about. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm actually coming to you. I'm also Virginia. Well, I don't live in Virginia anymore, but this is where I grew up. I'm back here for the holidays. So I have a business called Stylegasm and an alter ego called the Style Dominatrix. And I yeah, I help people. Actually, a big direction we're going is really helping people discover their alter egos and step into their wildest self-expression, and using style as a really big piece of that.
Amazing. We have to dive into the alter ego thing because I feel like I kind of understand it and I love dressing to be my highest self, but can you explain to everyone what exactly does that mean, or how did you step into your alter ego and how often are
Yeah.
you in her?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I found my alter ego. It'll be 2 years in a few months, and I actually found her at the one of the like lowest points of my business journey. And yeah, I guess for me, just actually getting to a place of like play, it just kind of I was actually working with a client who had done some work in BDSM, and we were just styling things and we're doing this photo shoot. And she had like a flogger, and I was just like playing with it. And then just out of nowhere, I said, I'm a style dominatrix. And it felt like I had really channeled something. And it was a point in my business where it's actually right before I started working with Christina. I know we've both worked with Christina Knapp. And I had wanted to be more creatively expressed in my business and just more in my power. And so I love the post that you did yesterday about like healing and like, oh my God, we're just like, we're done with healing. You know what I mean? It's
We're
like a
done with
never.
healing. More on that later, guys.
Yes. Yes. But for me, like the alter ego is this like, side of myself that's like this exaggerated side of myself that I tap into to act more boldly, to like go after my dreams, to be like radical in my expression. And um I yeah, I would say, in some ways she comes out like every day in some way, shape, or form. And it's like like as kids, where especially as creatives, we're so like imaginative and playful. And so I think actually kids kind of get the idea of an alter ego is like you can just decide to be a character, and we could go around these healing loops forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And I'm into all the things personal development too, but it's also like, what if you can just step into a side of yourself without feeling like you're broken or you need to do this or do that, and just like play in that arena, and how much more like fun and power or whatever it is that's repressed in your life you can really exhibit.
I I want to know, when did you feel, because you're talking about playing and this resonates so much with me. When did you feel like, fuck yes, I'm playing? Was that before you had that whip in hand and became Style
Mm,
Dominatrix? Or was it after you got that alter ego and then almost gave yourself permission and stepping into her to fully play? Like, is there a scenario you can think of where you felt
yeah.
totally free?
Well, so the year before having that coming up with my style dominators, like I had this part of me that because I had built this successful business from the outside, I had all these clients, but I didn't feel like I was quite in the right lane. I felt like, I was a creative, and I felt like I was helping people with their style, and I had people of all different walks of life. And I just felt like I have so much creativity I want to express, and just helping people by shopping, or it felt like I wanted to really get into my own lane of what I really stood for. And I ended up, and I won't get all the details. I have a post at some point I need to write about this, but like I ended up hiring this someone I knew and trusted branding agency, and it ended up turning into a complete like nightmare. And basically walked away spending a lot of money and throwing it all in the trash and not having a website. And yeah, I actually like sat in the space, it was like 2 years ago, of like, and there was really like awful things said about me and a lot of projection. And I mean, and a friendship that was lost over it, like a lot of things. And so I really just like gave myself space to be like, just to kind of like let it fall apart, and just to just to see, like, instead of like going out and trying to get more clients and networking and building this and doing it, just like connecting with myself and like finding what I actually loved again. I remember I was living in Virginia at the time, and I used to go up to Tyson's Corner to go walk around like Tyson's Too, which is like a really nice mall, and just to because I love clothes and just to get inspired. And I love this. My favorite Korean, if you know Spa World, it's like a Korean spa place. I'm obsessed. So
I
I would
don't
go.
know, but I need to know.
Oh, let's go day trip. I used
Yeah.
to go. Yeah, I used to go a lot to that, and I just started like connecting with myself again. So in a way, I think that was play. And then I had this, it's so interesting when it's as far as like stop listening to what other people in business coaches tell you to do. And I had this quiz that I had done when I lived in Bali previously and had a fashion brand anyways. And I had this quiz that I had done in it, and I was like, you know what? I want that to be my next funnel. And then and I just, it was like there's no strategy, it's just my trust. And then that led to like new clients, and one of them was like one of my former best friends, and that just kickstarted a whole new direction. Obviously, she was the one that I found my alter ego with, and then And just I think Alter gave me permission to trust my insights because I feel like I get these like downloads. And one of them was I had this like spirit animal business of the zebra. And when I was back in this time when I was going around the mall and relaxing, I had seen this zebra dress and I was like, ooh, that's like my business spirit animal. Like, what if I got this zebra dress? And then I was walking and there was this inside the mall, this like billboard of a Ralph Lauren ad. And it was this model and she was like this like chic cowgirl like resting on a fence. And it just like something just like clicked in my mind of like, what if I get this zebra dress? And I knew I had this client who had a ranch in Wimberley, Texas, and they have wild animals, including zebras and kangaroos and wallabies and all sorts of things. I was like, what if I do a photo shoot in the zebra dress with the zebra? And why don't I invite my two like really good friends who are clients to come? And why don't we do that? And we'll call it wildness. And it's going to be exploring our creative edges. So I think just allowing myself the space to like trust those insights and then to actually give myself permission to act on it and to allow that to unfold.
Ooh, I love this because we talk about this a lot on the podcast and this self-trust and not just trusting it, but then acting on it. And allowing the zigzags, even if it feels like a zebra photo shoot in Texas, which is so cool. And so, did you always trust yourself this much, or was that I'm leading the witness because I know her a little bit, but did you always trust yourself this much, or was it a journey? And I know I just opened up a can of
Yeah,
worms there,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I am interested
No,
to
it's
know
like,
what you have to say because someone needs to hear
oh yeah.
what you got.
No, I mean, I feel like I was like the creative codependency. Actually, when I taught my workshop, I actually told my story. So I had a friend way back in 2013. I lived in Paris and anyways, I had a friend that ended up in a very codependent relationship with who had definitely had skill. I think you find this very interesting because this 1,000% not you, but she definitely had skills in, connecting with angels and connecting, tapping in. And we ended up developing this really codependent relationship where she ended up telling me what to do with my life, like over a
Mm.
year. And then I ended up in some pretty like honestly like extreme situations with some different coaches as far as like totally just like turning over my power and following their direction and that leading to health issues, that leading to a lot of struggles in business, like just a lot of and a lot of deep regret, if I'm honest. So I feel like I had kind of like three teachers, and all of them, there was a lot that I learned from them, and there's a lot of wisdom that they shared, and a lot of things even today with all of them that lessons that I took from that helped me develop who I am. But at the same time, it was like this crazy lesson of completely like not listening to myself at all, not even knowing how to even really truly do that. And so I think it was like after like the third time, I mean, I had a coach, I spent $70,000 on, plus more and I mean, so many things. And when that all fell apart, I mean, did I have this whole plan? Like, I'm going to find my alter ego and I'm going to step into my power. No, no, it was just like, let me just take some space and let me play and let me just kind of like follow the breadcrumbs of desire. And that totally realigned my whole journey completely.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. And it sounds too like, well, I don't want to put words in your mouth. What I'm thinking like rock bottom, but like just
Yeah.
a very low point. Would that be accurate?
Oh, yeah, for sure, for sure, yeah.
So it's just making me think of like a silent meditation retreat I went on. Little tangent for a second, but just that they strip you away of everything comfortable. They strip you of food, of sleep, of water, of shoes. Like you, this sounds like torture, but it was
Yeah, I
actually
was gonna
amazing.
say
But
water,
but
juice.
I mean, you still got to drink water, but they deprive you of everything physical so that you have nowhere to turn but inward. And it's making me think of, it took you thrice, three times to really
Yeah.
hit this lower point to be forced to turn inward when you finally gave yourself this space. And then from that bloomed this self trust, this play, this reconnection to self. And how fucking beautiful is it now? Because you are the full expression of yourself. And I just think that's really, really cool. And I think there's probably a lot of people who might still be in the bottom part where they're not
Yeah,
quite trusting themselves. And so it sounds like you're saying, like, give yourself space to play. Don't go cling to someone
totally,
else.
totally. Yeah, that's a really beautiful conclusion of that. Absolutely. Mhm.
Would you say now that there's anything particular that you still struggle in trusting yourself with?
Oh, yeah. I mean, journey. I mean, I've been single for a long time, I have a book. And so,
We'll get there.
um,
She's got a book, guys. We'll
I
talk about it in
know.
a second. Yeah.
I mean, no, it's funny even just talking now about going back and talking about the experience of creating, wildness and that photo shoot. And there's so many things. I mean, one of those people that came was one of my best friends. And a few months later, it turned sour. And a few months after that, I dealt with a lawsuit over that photo shoot because of her and got my Facebook shut down for 3 months. So there was some like really nasty. Yeah, so it's interesting. I have like a new idea that had like come in that I'm working through right now as far as connected to a photo, like a vision and an experience. And it's not really like falling into place as easily. It's taking a lot of perseverance. So it's a good reminder for me, just like, oh yeah, like trust, like just keep being connected to it. Yeah. I mean, I think sometimes it's like I connected, well, actually, one of my friends who I met like 13 years ago, the very beginning of my entrepreneur journey, she came to my book party and, I don't see her very often. Well, maybe every few years or something. And she was just like, Jen, like the version of you that I met back then in 2012, like, could she even imagine that you would become the style dominatrix? I was like, I wouldn't even know what a dominatrix is. That is just like beyond like, that's just, no, I can't even fathom. But, I still, I feel like I deal with stuff all the time. Just like, it's easy sometimes for other people to see. And I'm like, gosh, I feel like sometimes I'm just bumping up with some of the same challenges and but maybe it's, it's like I think I heard a manifestor say people talk about like new level, new devil, but it's actually new level, same devil. It just,
Yeah.
yeah,
And the damn corkscrew until you get it. Yeah.
totally, totally.
Yeah. So just really this endless loop of trust because there's no end point, right? We
Yeah,
have to keep
yeah,
practicing. So, as promised, I was so excited to share about Jenn's book, guys. It's called Radiant. If you're on YouTube, I'm showing it right here. You guys can get this on Amazon and it's called Radiant. So, why are you still single? And if you're listening, you should know that I am not single. I have a husband who I met when I was 14 years old. We have 2 kids. And I wanted to read this to be supportive of a friend. And I came out on the other side of this book in tears, like, oh, fuck. And I really wanted to share this, Jenn. You guys need to buy the book and read it for yourself. But what I did really want to share from this book that spoke to me so strongly was when you're talking about cleaning out your closet and just how people have a tendency to hold on to things from the past and how much we are oblivious to how much energy these things hold. And when you're talking about having, this thing from an ex and this thing from an ex and this thing from an ex, and it's like if you have all of that taking up space, how are you going to bring in new energy? And I've literally talked about this before, and it was just so funny in reading it from someone else and looking around my space and seeing like those are pre-pregnancy genes. My body doesn't fit in those anymore. Why the fuck are they still in my closet? What is the purpose? And it was really helpful and validating because when I started reading this book, I was working through a lot of scarcity and scarcity mindset where I was like, I need to make more space. And so I was getting rid of a lot of stuff. And I was finding myself having a hard time getting rid of a lot of clothes that I haven't worn in years. And so reading this book was actually really therapeutic and really helpful for me to be like, I don't need these CrossFit coaching shirts anymore. Like they're worn and tattered. I am no longer a coach. This represents a point in my life. And I was clinging to them because I remembered how strong I was, how powerful I was, the leader that I was. But it's like the shirt doesn't hold that energy. I have that part. The shirt's
Yeah.
just taking up space where I could, it was just really, it was very therapeutic. And so having that opportunity to read this in this book among so much of her story, guys, in here, I would just highly recommend it, whether you are single or not single. There's lots of golden nuggets in here. So that was my tangent on this interview with Jenn. What I did want to ask, what was the impetus for writing this?
Mm.
Because there's always a reason to write a book, right? What started this journey for you?
I actually was like one of my client, a past client of mine, she's the book publisher, the CEO of the publishing company. And so she was my client, and then she ended up creating a community, and it was kind of just at the right time of like, ooh, I want to join this community. And she's also a book publisher, so that was kind of all interconnected. And one of the first, actually, I think the real impetus was my shame drawer story, which I don't know if you want me to go into now a little bit.
I would love to. Let's go.
Okay, because
Yeah.
this, so I wrote this chapter in a book, where people all each write a chapter, and it was my like deepest, darkest secret of all time that I never in a million years thought that I would tell the world, and that is that I lived through period poverty where I didn't have enough supplies, that it was just very shamed in my household, in my culture, in my school, all of that. Like I knew I was beginning a period, but my mom and my sister were late bloomers, so when I got my period at 12, I think it just no one was really thinking about that was a possibility, and I kept it in secret, and so I very often didn't have supplies or would have to go, like, take supplies from like, I was also a competitive swimmer, which was very stressful, but I would, like, take one from the pool racket club, would sometimes leave some out, or maybe would take one with a friend, or, stack tissues, or when I was really desperate, we'll come up with this like very elaborate plan why me and my friends need to go look at makeup at CVS and then like sneak over. So it just was filled with so much like shame and secrecy. And the worst part is because I grew up with three dogs and we have an open trash can in our bathroom. So I knew I couldn't just like put my, trash in there. So for 4 years, I stuffed my trash in the top of my dresser drawer. And it really being a true like physical representation of trauma. And I didn't want to be doing this, but I didn't feel like I had any other choice. And my liberation came when I got my driver's license, because the first place I went was to go to the drugstore and buy tampons. And then very soon after, I came home from school one day and no one was home. And I just emptied out the whole drawer and took all the trash to the dump. And I'll just never forget that like freedom of like letting go of that drawer. Never told anybody for over 15 years about the experience, but continued to create shame drawers metaphorically throughout my life, and ending up in, abusive relationships, experiencing like sexual abuse and rape and struggles with money and all sorts of things. And then, so actually by writing the story, I feel like it just like opened the gates. Like all of a sudden it just made sense to share it. And that was actually the thing I was most shameful about, was actually the work that I was doing with women, is I was helping them let go of their, whether it was literal, like physical shame drawer, the things in their closets that were representative of, a past version or trauma, or just emotionally, but helping people free their shame drawers. And I would say, so I wrote the story, and actually I still have, so I'm home for Christmas. So I'm in my childhood room, right, and the dresser is like right over there. I did a photo shoot with the dresser with my high school art teacher. It was great. And like launched the whole, the story. And like as soon as it came out, it just felt like felt like the impetus to like, there was actually more. I was like, okay, that was just the beginning. Now it's actually time to like write a book.
That Thank you so much for sharing that. I had goosebumps when you shared it. And I think anytime I've heard you talk about it, and including when I read it in the book, it's just so representational, but an actual experience. It's like you think a story like that is a metaphor, but it was your real lived experience. And it's just a testament to how many women are doing the same thing. And you moving through that and now getting to help them free themselves from their shame drawers is just really really fucking cool. And yeah, I'm thinking about what else to share from the book because it's like you really lay it all out there. Like you
Yeah.
did not hold back. And I think that vulnerability really will give a lot of people permission to grow and share and expel things from their life, whatever that looks
Mm,
like. And
mm,
so I just think that's really beautiful and really brave.
thank you. Yeah, I mean, AI definitely did not write my book.
No, AI,
And
AI did not write your book at all. Yeah.
yeah, I've had people be like, "So, when are you gonna write another book?" And I was like, "Never." I'm kidding. I mean, give me a few years, but I feel like this book, it took me on a journey, like, so much the book took me on a journey and, like, writing it and, like, pushed me to explore my own edges and my own and, like, I feel like ashamed words, like, we never, like, run out. There's always, like, new things that we're working on, you know what I mean? And one of my ashamed words was that I've been single, and I'm turning 40 in a few months. In a way, it's like I felt like the book took me on this journey and a lot of unraveling my whole life, experience that. And even myself, like I went through a huge closet purge like twice when I was writing the book, and I was like,
Ooh,
I feel like I do this. And now I'm the one that's like, there's like new layers of weight, things that I'm holding on to in my closet. So yeah, so it means a lot. It's like I did write the book and, I don't know. I know people that write books and they go through a whole like bestseller strategy and that's amazing. And a book can be like the most amazing thing for your brand and publicity, but it just didn't feel like the energy of my book was meant to be. And so I feel like I hope it's the people that read it that exactly what you experienced of like they connected to it in a deeper way and then they end up taking action, reflection in their own way in their lives.
beautiful. I'm going to pivot
Yeah.
because I want to talk about this real bad.
Yes.
So, guys, Jen had this was a couple months ago, actually. You had a post that got me fired up in the best way possible because she said something, guys, that I have not said and wanted to say. And I don't know if we're going to piss some listeners off. I don't really care. If you don't like it, then maybe that means something for you. But Jen, please tell us about that post and let's start off a little conversation about Mary Magdalene.
Yeah. I and maybe it's just have been something that had been brewing in me for a while. I mean, I lived in Bali and I've been all around the spiritual circles and then just felt like, God, I just want to be away from all of that. But yes, I wrote this post, but I don't give a fuck about Mary Magdalene. I mean, if you feel connected to her, then like great. I'm not saying there's anything like she's a divine teacher, like there's other teachers as well, but if that's the one that you connect to, like beautiful. But I feel like there's just this energy of like Mary Magdalene is the way of the divine feminine. And I'm like, I have no desire to go to the south of France and go on a pilgrimage for Mary Magdalene. Like I have no connection to her. And that's not to be in any way disrespectful to her. And I think that ends up kind of being the same energy of I'm Jewish and growing up hearing my whole life of like, well, if you don't believe in Jesus and you're going to hell and like, and people just reciting these Jesus things that end up just being really shameful. They don't even really know what they're saying, but like, you just don't believe in this, like something's wrong with you. And it ends, and I feel like that energy has like carried over into this Mary Magdalene. This is like the scripted way that you're going to find your expression as a woman. And I'm like, I just feel like always, it's just like always like fangirl followers of Mary Magdalene. I'm just like, oh,
They,
yeah.
she didn't hold back. I was waiting for the candid answer. So, no, I love this because one, again, this is no disrespect here because there are lots of spiritual teachers. There's lots of different ways to engage with yourself, connect with divine feminine, what have you. And what I think we're leading onto here is this concept of fandom and borderline obsession with something because people of importance start steering you in that direction. And I want to shed light on this and talk about this here because I just feel like it's just really important for people to know that there's more than one way. If Mary Magdalene resonates with you and that feels like you're feeling that tug or that internal pull, then yes. But when you're doing it because everyone else is, to me, it's screaming like there's a lack of trust in self. And we talked about this with the we're gonna piss off some Swifties here. 'Cause
Yeah. Yeah.
I love Taylor Swift is great. Like, she's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
She's got some great outfits. She sings well. No hate on Taylor Swift. And there is this insane fandom that confuses me. What
I
can
know.
you I don't even have words for it right now, Jen. What to me it's very similar to this
Yeah.
Mary Magdalene thing. What is this fandom and how like what does this mean for identity to you from
Mhm.
your
Mhm.
context here?
Well, I remember a fandom starting. I mean, I was born, I'm almost 40. You're a little younger than me, but I remember there was a whole like boy band era and like growing up of like women that would put, what was it? In sync and whatever, like
Backstreet
posters.
Boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was like that same kind of energy, just like this like fandom obsession. And even then I didn't understand it. It was like, and for me, yeah, it's almost like putting, I mean, it's one thing, yeah, I like Taylor Swift. Like I listen to some of her music. I mean, I wouldn't consider myself a Swiftie. I'm just not a fangirl of really anything. I think
Yeah.
it's like it's like having to like putting on this identity. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing to like something, but it almost like becomes your identity. Like someone else becomes your identity. I think that's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah. I am thinking of that because I will be very vulnerable here. Your girl had 98 Degrees and Sync Backstreet Boys all up on her wall. And I'm not that much younger. I turned
Yeah.
39 next year. So we're like right there. So when we are developing our identity and coming into the sense of self, the sense of individuality, we start that in kind of more so like middle school and high school. We're trying to figure out how to express ourselves to the world, how to see ourselves. And we're all just a hot fucking mess, right? And
Yeah.
so to me, it is appropriate during that time to be engaging in almost a fandom context with anime, with a boy band, with whatever, because you're trying to figure it out. It's almost like you're figuring out what you like.
Mhm.
And on the flip side of that, though, what can happen, I think, is if you aren't given the opportunity or safety, I don't want to say that people are just doing this wrong, but like if you're not provided a safe space to be able to start grounding down and identifying yourself, you can slip into this pattern of identifying with specific groups because you do not know how to individualize yourself. I think we had talked about in the voice memos about people identifying as goth in high school and because they're trying to be different, but really then they're all dressed the exact same. And it's like, it's same, but different. All the lunch tables are just representational of people streamlining with something because they don't know what their identity is. And I think it bothers both of us because we're both wildly individual, like,
Mhm.
and like to be different, I think.
Yeah.
What are your
Mhm.
thoughts on this? What's your follow up here?
Mhm. I mean, there is parts that we are wired as humans to want to be part of the tribe. So there is that. And this actually, like one of the main teachers has been talking about this really amazing concept of belonging and standing out. But in my experience, because some people go to, they just want to belong. So they, and I talked about in the post, all these spiritual women seem to dress the same. They could buy like the same brands and like you go to the retreat. Like I literally see, even sometimes with clients, I'm like, it becomes like a uniform. And so they want to become a part of this group. But there's another thing of being of like, maybe it's this other path that I think the path that perhaps that we're taking is we're going to go express in all of our weirdness and then and then we're going to go find the people who naturally like resonate with that. It's a very different way of finding belonging. Because at the end of the day, we still want to belong. We still want to have community and have connection, but it's not about trying to contort ourselves so that we could be part of this group.
Yeah, I love that. And also, full disclosure, when you had made that post about all the spiritual women dressing the same, I was like, I need to go check my closet. Ben's always having me check my closet. Anything you say, I'm like, fuck, I need to go check my closet. But no, it was one of those where it's like, okay, what do I have in here? Because we got to keep coming back and checking ourselves, right? And I'm
Yeah.
like, if I'm going to be fully me, the full expression of my authentic self, I need to do these checks. And so I always appreciate when you make posts like that because it prompts
Mhm.
me to do so. So it's like, okay, what pants, shirts, mala beads, whatever in here do I have because it fits the spiritual woman cookie cutter or because it's meaningful to me in a way that I want to express myself. And this isn't to say that, everyone needs to go and make sure that their closet doesn't look like anyone else's. I don't think that's the point, but I think the point is checking in with yourself and truly deciding, do you have, whether it's for an identity or not, like, do you have this
Yep.
shirt because you like this shirt and it feels good? Or is this your tired black t-shirt I'm wearing right now? I'm dead. Is it a tired black t-shirt that you put on because it's what you wore all through the early days of your kids being babies and you just don't know how to express anymore? Or is it the Taylor Swift shirt because you want someone to notice you at the store so that you can feel seen? I feel like this could go so many layers deep. And again, I'm like, we're not talking about this in a like someone's better than the other. I just think it's so interesting in how like clothing is just so wraps you up in identity and you have really taken it to an expressive
Mhm.
level of like zero fucks. I
Mhm.
would, yeah.
I mean, and style too, I mean, it's an ever evolving thing like anything else. I feel it's part of our personal development journeys, our own like, just our own evolution that it shifts and changes, and, like, I've just gone through this massive style revolution myself. Like, I was looking at photo for me, I wanna do a post of what my style was like at the beginning of the year and what it's like at the end of the year. Because even though I do still have the red hat, that's, like, my signature, really different, really different. I mean, I think I kinda had a wake up call myself of, like, just a shift in how I wanna show up and how I wanna things that I wanna just feel like. Even just my color palette has changed. I used to always wear, like, the really bright colors and then actually really reflecting, like, I actually feel really powerful in brown and animal prints and reds, and I wanna feel more luxurious and, like, just letting go of some things that I feel like were associated, things that I got from other times in my life that I just don't feel like that person anymore. So I think I don't know if it like, it ever ends that we're, like, reflect it's like a growth, you know? Yeah, and I'm sure, like, if we talk in 2 years, like, there'll be some things, there's some through lines, but also other ways that, things have pivoted and grown myself and my own style, and I think there's been a lot of conditioning for women that whether it's superficial or especially for the people in personal development, or like we're doing all this internal work, but it also is, I mean, it really is as important because it affects like how we feel, how, I mean, but really, I think that's the end, like the most important thing, how you feel and how you feel in your identity and how you show up. And also how other people like the same thing, like how other people see you. It's like we're all these walking billboards for our values and what we stand for.
Yeah, I love that too. I was thinking like it's all often very reflective of if we want to be seen or not as well, which can be indicative of other wounds. But I'm really curious. I have two questions. The first
Yeah.
one is that I want you to share like what are your thoughts then? This is a total 3D question, but what are your thoughts
Sure.
on a capsule wardrobe? Like people talk about their capsule wardrobe. What I feel like you might have a strong opinion on this and I want to know.
Maybe. Well, I feel like that's like such a it's been such a buzzword in the
Mhm.
world of stylists and stuff. And I mean, there's like a gazillion YouTube, or just Google. But it's so I kind of I guess maybe sometimes I really just like things that are just popular. Maybe it's just like the rebel in me. But earlier this year, so I had uprooted my whole life. I drove cross country, moved to LA, and then got to LA, got an apartment, and then the wildfires happened, devastating earlier this year. And while I wasn't directly in a fire, there was one like a mile away, and it just was a very traumatic time. And so I decided, okay, I don't think now is a good time to be in LA, and that led me on this nomadic path for much of the year. And I actually work with a friend who's a professional organizer. It's funny, she was my client years ago, and then anyway, so I drove to Arizona to go stay with her, and I was like, "You know what? I feel like my stuff it's like my car's starting to feel more full, like, I feel like my stuff is starting to own me, and I feel like I need to, like, let go of things, but I'm having a hard that because I'm having a hard time, and I'm gonna hire you to help me." And we was working together, I was like, "Damn it." I never thought I would say this, but I was like, "I feel like I need a capsule wardrobe." And I was like, "Why am I saying this right now?" And it was really interesting. We got into this, like, really deep conversation around it was like this capsule wardrobe. It's like these pieces that were gonna help shepherd me through this period of my life, and we're going to be these companions for me as I went and like bounced around the world and almost, yeah, like the sacredness of like really curating pieces that would work for me. And, I would lived out of a suitcase for two suitcases for a lot of the year. So it was very limiting. So yeah, I think I've maybe even like reconverted or something in a way that I think sometimes people just say, oh, I need a capsule wardrobe. And I think sometimes there's this element of, well, I can't ask for that much. And let me just have, I just want to look at it's just
Mm.
like a few things. And sometimes I feel like there's that little bit of that deprivation. And I'm also not the extreme of we shouldn't just be like wasteful for the sake of being wasteful. I do believe in being like intentional with things. But yeah, I guess maybe then I converted the idea of like pieces that feel good, that are easy to mix and match, and that all of them, that there's not this wastefulness, like it all works. It's all in tandem. And in a way, I feel like that's what I end up creating myself this year.
I love that too, that when you said that like companions, it really is like your almost like your soul anchors, like your
Yeah.
outward
Yeah.
expression anchor. I really like that. So thank you
Yeah.
for sharing that. If you could offer advice to, a listener or a woman who is empowered by this podcast and like, I'm a Swiftie, but I'm going to dress independently, or, they're getting up out of bed, they are ready to dress themselves. What are some things you ask yourself before putting on your clothes for the day,
Mm.
or some things that you think?
I think part of it is looking at, even and maybe before that, as far as like buying pieces of what are things of the wardrobe that I don't even have to grab. And part of it for me is like my alter ego of like, what energy do I want to feel? What do I feel best in? I'll give you an example. So I have my alter ego, the Style Dominatrix, and I realized with her, like she loves like leather, like real leather and this big fur. And I feel red is like my power color. I feel amazing in red. I'm doing a lot of browns. I like purple and yellow and other things, and like latex. And I have these really expensive boots, and I just feel, and I put them on, like something different happens. And I end up going to an event some months ago, and like the first day I showed up as a style dominatrix, and I have this dress. I don't have it here, but I have this latex dress that has, you've seen it with the like fake it looks like real money is on the dress. And I just felt like amazing this day. And I had like I had my whip, and I had my amazing boots, dominatrix boots. And I just feel like, oh, so good. And the next day I wore this vintage dress and a turban. And it's just interesting that I didn't feel the same. And then the third day, it was like more, it's like the third like hair, like, when you like don't wash your hair and
Yeah.
and so like I put my hair back, and I didn't have a hat, which is like rare for me. And it was, I just saw myself like going downhill. And it was like, and I was at this, it was actually when it was Iceland, this like big fashion week event. And just, it was interesting, even the way that someone that talked to me a little bit disrespectfully all one of the days. And I was like, wow, like dominatrix wouldn't have, like, really my dominatrix, she wouldn't have put up with that. So I think just like tuning into, maybe for me, I want to feel in my power. Like I want to feel like sexy. I want to feel luxurious. And so I think, and and some days you feel a little like you feel something else, like some day, and a lot of times it's actually like I had a client who said this, it's, what was it? Like where like the dog, where like the tail wags the dog. There's like this whole metaphor around that but like sometimes you're not feeling it, but actually then like the choosing something outside of how you actually feel can like shift your whole day. Like I did a post yesterday. I had this like annoying day. I've had like this dental surgery thing, and dental office has been disorganized, and just frustration and stuff. And then I'm wearing like full on sequin and this like big bow with, I'm like Christmas spirit, like incarnate. And people are just like, it's funny how people react to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, okay, today's not so bad. I'm just, yeah.
Well, and that's really cool too. I saw that post that you put up, and the immediate thing I thought of was like, oh, you felt like shit, but and had kind of like scenarios that weren't great, but the way that you dressed reflected to others, but then it reflected back to you. So it was like
Yeah,
bringing
yeah.
them joy, and then they're like smiling, and then it reflects back to you. So your outfit still was able to like create joy in your day. I just
Yeah,
thought that
yeah.
was really cool. And it's making me think too, like when I've definitely stepped into a newer version of myself where I like to dress as my highest self and feel really good. I put makeup on more now, not because I
Yeah,
feel like I need it, but
I've been seeing you, girl, these conversations, I'm like, "Oh my god."
I'm feeling good about it. But there's
Yeah.
some like, so today I'm literally, if you're not on the YouTube guys, I'm in black pants and a black shirt with one flower of life necklace. And it's with almost no makeup on. And it's because I'm luteal as fuck and I wanted to nap and I was like, I want to sit in my cranky today. You know what I mean? But I've done this to myself. And so this conversation, I've not been cranky at all, but it's one of those where I wore the all black and I'm sitting in it today, you know, a little bit, I'm having my emo moment and it, it really does affect how you exist in the world. And I just think your existence, Jen, and what you're sharing with the world right now with your clients online is really proving that people have the opportunity to feel amazing and feel connected to themselves and feel fully expressed in their authenticity through style and alter ego. Because it's really not about the clothes. It's
Yeah.
really not. And I think that is just really cool.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, Jen, thank you so, so much for joining us today on Soul and Spirit. I really appreciate your energy, your candor, and just your vulnerability.
I really enjoyed this.
Thank you. Thanks so much for listening to Soul in Spirit. If this episode moved you, sparked something, or just made you feel a little more like yourself, I'd be so grateful if you left a review or shared it with someone you love. It helps more souls find this space and join us in raising the collective vibration. If you have questions, thoughts, or just want to share what came up, I'd love to hear from you. DM me on Instagram or email me anytime. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep showing up, because the real magic shows up when you do. With so much love, see you soon.